Welcome everybody to Clarkie's Closet. This is Mark Clark here. Today we're going to have a listen to and chat about 6 educational songs that I wrote and recorded in 1989. Hello, hope you are all well. And today I'm going to play you some educational songs, 6 of them in fact, which I wrote in 1989, mainly anyway, and recorded them the same year. The very, very first one is song 5 of the 6, is Ancient Greece, and I actually played that a little earlier in one of my early shows because it's more of a kiddie song. It's quite simple, really. No offence to the Ancient Greeks. I could have put in all sorts of information, but I wrote it for a bunch of lower level Year 7 kids of about 11 or 12, and they went around to all the classes singing it, and they had a great time. They learned about ancient Greece, but it wasn't full of information as most of the other songs are. And they're in order. There are 6: Palaeolithic, Neolithic, Mesopotamia, Ancient Egypt, Ancient Greece, and Ancient Rome. And eventually I put together a kit, an educational kit, which the Department of Education put out. They call it Rock Historia. I called it Sing Along with History. I always did prefer that title. The kit included timelines and wonder words and crosswords and questions for students and all that sort of stuff. And it also, would you believe, contained maps, which I hand drew. So it took quite a bit of time. I'm not a cartographer, but I did my best. And all of that stuff is actually available on markclark.com.au. The songs are there, with the vocals and without the vocals, so the kids can use it as a backing track if they so desire, and they can go around from class to class and sing it as my Year 7 class did. So let's get started. I probably won't have to talk too much today because the songs are self-explanatory. This first song is called Palaeolithic, deals with Old Stone Age man. I went and sang this on television, actually, on the Have a Go show. I put on a loin cloth and jumped around, age 27 or 28. You can go onto my website and see that too if you particularly want to. You certainly wouldn't want to see me jumping around in a loin cloth now. So here we go with Palaeolithic, Old Stone Age man.
My name is Palaeolithic. I lived until 10,000 years ago. That's a 10 and 3 O's, a long time ago. Can you spell Palaeolithic? Listen now so you will know. P-A-L-E and O-L-I-T-H-I-C, Palaeolithic. I was terrific, old Stone Age man. People call me Palaeolithic because I started using stone. I chip up on a stone called flint, make it sharp, I add a stick, and with my spear I roam on the plains with several friends in such a big game. We hunt zebras, fierce baboon, wildebeest, deer and new. I was terrific, Palaeolithic, old Stone Age man. My woman is back at the cave, garroting at the children, making sure they behave. Chasing after lizards, picking fruit from the trees, crushing up roots with a rock from the creek. Now she'll be happy if we bring home dinner. She'll probably start a fire in the mouth of the cave. We were terrific, Palaeolithic, old Stone Age man. Since we discovered fire, we can cook our own food, keep the cave warm and keep away the wolves. Now we've got food for a couple of days. We've got time to rest, to learn and to play. So we paint in the caves with a vegetable dye, and we pray to the great gods in the sky to help us kill the animals we draw, so we can stay alive for many moons more. We were terrific, Palaeolithic. Well, they're very important, these drawings of mine. They prove that I was here at one time. We were terrific, Palaeolithic. Well, we thought that the stars were just holes in the sky. We noticed that the seasons changed, but didn't know why. We were terrific, Palaeolithic. Yes, we were terrific, oh Palaeolithic, old Stone Age man.
Yeah, I have to thank the Have a Go show for having me on several times, where I could play some original songs. The next one, well, it shows you the difference between Palaeolithic and Neolithic, so I won't say too much more. Have a listen to this.
There once was an old man called Palaeolithic. He was terrific, old Palaeolithic. He had a son whom we call Neolithic. Neo, a prefix, means new. What was so new about this Neolithic? Was he more clever than Palaeolithic? Let's be more specific. What was so terrific about Neolithic, the new? His forefathers hunted with spears on the plain and sheltered in caves when the frozen rain came. But the new Stone Age man lived in houses he made. He herded tame animals and cultivated grain. He would settle in groups, little towns you might say. He often built fences to keep all the hunters away. All the hunters away. He didn't just chip stone as his forefathers had done. He ground and he polished it into much sharper stone. He herded wild animals over high cliffs so that he and his village could cook up a feast. He made dough from the grain of his barley and wheat, which he cooked on a fire and made bread from the heat. He made bread from the heat. From the leaves of the flax plant he made cloth to wear, so he need not wear animal skin everywhere. When the day's hunt was done, around a fire he'd sing to the sound of the drum skins, bone whistles and strings, bone whistles and strings. He started religion, he was the first miner. In agriculture there had been no finer. He could alter the land like nobody before. He would live in one spot for a few years or more. When the ground became barren, he'd move on again. He might move to a hillside and plant crops on the plain. Plant crops on the plain. He often kept pets and dogs were his friend. Even though Palaeolithic had been frightened of them, he was able to use language to communicate. And later he learned to write symbols in clay. And this meant that even long after he died, his ideas lived on for others to try. And that's why Neolithic became so prolific. And that's why mankind survives to this day. What did I say? I said that's why Neolithic became so prolific. And that's why mankind survives to this day.
The next song is about Mesopotamia, the land between two rivers. I'd love to be able to remember the names of the three young children who helped me sing in the background of this one. If I can remember what they are, I'll put it in the notes that go with this show. They were very, very good, and they sang with gusto. Mesopotamia.
Thousands of years before Jesus came, men had settled in my fertile plain. Syrian deserts to the west, Persian mountains to the east. Their huts were made of reed and mud. Their crops grew fat from the river's blood. They made axes from the desert stone. And later they learned to use bronze as well in Mesopotamia. Land between two rivers, land between two rivers, the Euphrates and the Tigris. Mesopotamia, land between two rivers, land between two rivers, the Euphrates and the Tigris. No, no one has known as much as I've known. 3,000 years before Jesus came, two groups of people lived upon my plain. The Akkadians in Akkad to the north, the Sumerians in Sumer to the south. Within 500 years or so, these two kingdoms grew together as one, and they invented the wheel. They invented the plow seed drill. They made horses obey. 60 was their number for the night and day. The ziggurat was where they prayed. They were the first to make the uniform writing and play. In Mesopotamia, land between two rivers, land between two rivers, the Euphrates and the Tigris. Mesopotamia, land between two rivers, land between two rivers, the Euphrates and the Tigris. No, no one has known as much as I've known. 2,000 years before Jesus came, a great dynasty ruled my plain. They built boats and canals, and all along the waterside they built their towns. They traded by camel as well. From Lebanon to India they were known well. 1800 years before Jesus came, Elamites and Amorites owned my plain, but Hammurabi drove the Elamites away. He wrote down laws for all men to obey. He was fair to both women and slaves. And Babylon ruled the entire plain of Mesopotamia. Land between two rivers, land between two rivers, the Euphrates and the Tigris. Mesopotamia, land between two rivers, land between two rivers, the Euphrates and the Tigris. No, no one has known as much as I've known. 800 years before Jesus came, from northern Mesopotamia Assyrians came. They built battering rams. They used timber and iron from the Hittites' land. And since iron is stronger than bronze, the whole Middle East was under their control. 600 years before Jesus came, Assyria was beaten by the Chaldeans. The Chaldeans started Neo-Babylon, and their hanging gardens we still wander upon. For 73 years they reigned in the southern parts of my fertile plain. 550 years before Jesus came, Persians conquered my entire plain. They smashed Assyria once and for all, and with the Greek armies they fought many wars. But the Greeks had won by 331 BC, when Alexander the Great took over me. I'm Mesopotamia, land between two rivers, land between two rivers, the Euphrates and the Tigris. Mesopotamia, land between two rivers, land between two rivers, the Euphrates and the Tigris. No, no one has known as much as I have known. I'm Mesopotamia, land between two rivers, land between two rivers, the Euphrates and the Tigris. No, no one has known as much as I have known.
Yeah, I think the kids are the best bit of that, aren't they? They're great. Okay, so the next song I'm going to play for you is one I really like. It's based on the old theme that everybody would associate with ancient Egypt. You'll know exactly what I mean when you hear the song. And we used it for a dancing group prior to the Gods show, my third musical comedy, which is the subject of my third show in the first season of these podcasts. So without any further ado, here we have Ancient Egypt.
Long ago, on a fertile plain, 3,000 years before Jesus came, on the banks of the Nile where the great floods rage, King Menes began his rule. Two great kingdoms were joined by his force, Upper Egypt in the south, Lower Egypt in the north, with the desert for protection. Egypt's power grew. Three great ages ancient Egypt knew. First the old kingdom, then the middle, then the new. For 3,000 years she grew. The pharaoh was king, he was the god who ruled with the help of the priests and the educated few. The rest all obeyed his golden rule, the scribes and the goldsmiths and the masons too. The workers in the field and the quarrymen knew they were slaves to the pharaoh's rule. We mined limestone and granite for the pyramids. No greater architects have ever lived, and none are ever likely to. Without much wood, we built with stone and sun-dried brick. To build our temples, towns and obelisks, to build the monuments in Memphis, Aswan, Saqqara and Thebes, to name a few. Long ago, on a fertile plain, down along the Nile where the pyramids lay, Amen-Ra, brightest of all stars, shone upon Egyptian tombs. We were more than simple savages. We knew the stars and mathematics well. We dug the Suez Canal for Red Sea passages of Egyptian ships in search of southern wealth. Ebony and ivory, myrrh and gold and incense trees, cinnamon, leopard skin, eye paint and beads, brought back from Punt and along the Red Sea. All these things to the Valley of the Kings to adorn our Egyptian tombs. When our great ones die, we have them mummified, put into sarcophagi, buried with the wealth they had, with some food and drink laid by their side. They meet Osiris in the afterlife, with the book of the dead, their only aid, their only help and guide. Long ago, far away, on the west side of the Nile where the pyramids lay, Amen-Ra, brightest of all stars, shone upon Egyptian tombs. 200 kings and 31 dynasties, 3,000 years of Egyptian rule. From Nubia to the great Euphrates, I am Egypt, Africa's brightest jewel. Long ago, far away, on the west side of the Nile where 60 pyramids lay. Long ago, on a fertile plain, down along the Nile where the papyrus waves, inscribed in hieroglyphics on a scroll to you. Isis and Osiris won't assure me it's true. Amen-Ra, brightest of all stars, still shines upon Egyptian tombs.
Which, of course, brings us on to ancient Greece and the three children singing yet again and once again doing a great job. This is a good fun one that my kiddies ran around singing, and we've played it a few times over the years. It gets downloaded a little bit too, or not downloaded, what they call them, streaming. 20 million streams, you make a couple $100. Oh, to be a musician in today's world. You've got all the opportunities, but there's a lot of noise out there and not a lot of money, but there never are for artists, are they? That's the way life goes. Here we go, Ancient Greece.
Greece was a fabulous place, yes, a fabulous place. Did lots of good for the human race. What a fabulous place was Greece. Once upon a time on the Isle of Crete in the Mediterranean, underneath Greece, they used to run at charging bulls and leap. Only Cretans lived in Crete. So, Greece was a fabulous place, yes, a fabulous place. Did lots of good for the human race. Cretans stomped bulls all around the place. What a fabulous place was Greece. Alexander thought he was great. He was king of Macedonia from 20 years of age. He never lost a battle in a 12-year spate. He came from north of Greece. So, Greece was a fabulous place, yes, a fabulous place. Did lots of good for the human race. Cretans stomped bulls all around the place. Alexander thought that he was great. What a fabulous place was Greece. G-R-G-R-E, G-R-double-E, G-R-double-E-C, G-R-double-E-C-E. Now, what does that spell to me? Greece! Was a fabulous place, yes, a fabulous place. Did lots of good for the human race. What a fabulous place was Greece. Spartan men were taught to fight, killed their kids if they didn't look right. They relied on their army's might in the southern part of Greece. Athens grew olives, figs and dates, was a democratic state. Its army was good, but its navy was great on the right-hand side of Greece. So, Greece was a fabulous place, yes, a fabulous place. Did lots of good for the human race. Cretans stomped bulls all round the place. Alexander thought that he was great. Sparta and Athens were city-states. What a fabulous place was Greece. G-R-G-R-E, G-R-double-E, G-R-double-E-C, G-R-double-E-C-E. Now, what does that spell to me? Greece! Was a fabulous place, yes, a fabulous place. Did lots of good for the human race. What a fabulous place was Greece. In Athens is a temple called the Parthenon. The Acropolis is the hill it's on. The Agora it looks down upon. That's a marketplace in Greece. So, Greece was a fabulous place, yes, a fabulous place. Did lots of good for the human race. Cretans stomped bulls all around the place. Alexander thought that he was great. Sparta and Athens were city-states. The Agora was a marketplace in the land of ancient Greece. What a fabulous place was Greece.
Yes, indeed. What a fabulous place was Greece. I'm also aware of the fact that there has been more information that has been dug up about some of these civilizations subsequently, but I basically wrote these based upon as much information as I could get at that time. I must also make a comment now. Prior to the last song, I just want to make a note of this to everybody. This was actually mixed by a very, very, very fine, not studio so much, but fine live audio technician called Colin Ellis. Colin was In Excess's sound engineer all the way through the 80s, and he worked with Savage Garden and he tours with Midnight Oil. He's pretty well a guru. I've talked to quite a few people in the industry who speak of him incredibly highly. Some say he's the man, and that doesn't surprise me. He's my oldest friend. We've lost contact because he's slack and I'm slack. We're just blokes, as you know. Blokes are like that. But we used to knock about and get up to mischief all the way through high school, but particularly towards the end and then when I was at university. And Colin had his panel van and we used to drive around and have a great, great time with my brother Jazz and all of our mates. There was Wayne and Len and Tony and John. We had a very, very good bunch of guys, bunch of friends who used to hang together. But Colin was exceptional. I used to do a little bit of roadieing for him. In Excess caught him one night. I think the sound engineer didn't turn up or something. And he did the job and he was so good. A lot of people said he was the only one who could. Remember the old entertainment centre? He could mix that really well because he was telling me it was a big rumble bin, right, a bass trap right along the back wall there, and he used to know how to mix it very well. And Colin would come back with tales of In Excess when they were doing their first tours with Adamant and with Joan Jett, I believe, and they went from the 3,000 seaters to the 6,000 to the 18,000 seaters and then to the arenas, and Colin was there the whole time in front of hundreds of thousands of people. He's a very, very fine technician. He helped me do all these. I recorded it, but he mixed it and put it all together. So thank you very much, Colin Ellis. And here's the final song, Ancient Rome.
Roman soldiers marching up to war. Roman soldiers marching up to war. With a breastplate and a helmet on and hobnail boots to march upon. Roman soldiers marching up to war. Romulus and Remus is a story you should know. Romulus found 7 hills on which a town would grow. To the south of the river Tiber, in western Italy, he founded Rome on Palatine Hill in 753 BC. So, what do you know? It wasn't very long before Rome did grow, and by the year 272 BC, Rome was king of Italy. We beat Etruscans, Gauls, and all Italian tribes. We beat Pyrrhus and the Greeks and drove them from the countryside. Then we drove the Carthaginians from Sicily and back to northern Africa to Carthage, where they should be. Roman soldiers marching up to war. Roman soldiers marching up to war. With a breastplate and a helmet on and hobnail boots to march upon. With sword and dagger, spear and shield, we march in squares upon the fields. Roman soldiers marching up to war. Between 264 and 146 BC, we fought 3 wars with Carthage, over land and over sea. We conquered Greece and Macedon, and Asia Minor too. And then we burned down Carthage, it was dangerous not to. So, what do you know, the Roman Empire had really grown. We were kings of the Mediterranean, but things were bad in Rome. There were rioting plebeians in the marketplace. The patricians in the Senate could not keep the peace. Till in 51 BC, Julius Caesar came. He took control of Rome and its dictator he soon became. Roman soldiers marching up to war. Roman soldiers marching up to war. With a breastplate and a helmet on and hobnail boots to march upon. With sword and dagger, spear and shield, we march in squares upon the fields. With catapults and javelins, with battering rams and siege machines. Roman soldiers marching up to war. Many emperors did follow, and the Roman Empire grew. Down through Egypt, up through Europe, it included Britain too. It was at this time that Jesus came and spoke of just one God. But the emperors disliked his words, they thought that they were gods. So, what do you know? The Christians were thrown to the lions for show, or to the gladiators in the Colosseum. But the Christian spirit lived on, and by 200 AD the Christian church was strong. And every Roman province rang with Christian song. Then in 313 AD the Emperor Constantine made all of Rome's religion Christianity. So what do you know? It wasn't very long before the fall of Rome. The barbarians from the north had come to burn and plunder Rome. In 410 AD the Goths sacked Rome. By 476 the Emperor had been deposed. But although the Roman Empire was now dead and gone, Christianity lived on. So what do you know? What do we owe to ancient Rome? One more verse to tell you a few of the things that Rome could do. We built well-planned towns and brilliant roads across Europe. We had brilliant plumbing, public baths and aqueducts. We had irrigation, sanitation, medicine and well-kept law. numerals, the alphabet, the Julian calendar, and more. Roman soldiers marching up to war. Roman soldiers marching up to war. With a breastplate and a helmet on, and hobnail boots to march upon. With sword and dagger, spear and shield, we march in squares upon the fields. With catapults and javelins, with battering rams and siege machines. With slingers, archers, camel car, and Roman genius for war. Roman soldiers marching up to war. Roman soldiers marching up to war.
And that's the end of today's educational song show. I hope you've enjoyed that. Play it to the kids if you like. Maybe they'll like it. Maybe they won't. Maybe they'll learn something and maybe they won't. But I hope to see you next week. Or to hear you next. I can't do either. It's quite silly saying that, isn't it? I hope to be with you next week for the rhyme of the Ancient Mariner. Samuel Taylor Coleridge's brilliant work, put to music by yours truly. See you then.